Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Louise Nichols. I'm a textile artist and I live in Cornwall, and I've been missing in action for quite a while. Apologies again. I don't know how many weeks it is since we put the last video on again. And you know, I came to look at everything and I can't quite remember where we've got to. So I'm hoping that the video is going to make sense. Today's is all about French knots. I'm thinking I've filmed what I should have filmed. I've filmed the last little bit. Anyway, no excuses apart from that we've been so busy with family and visitors, that's all. We've had a really lovely time, but now my son's gone back to uni. My daughter's back further down in Cornwall. She lives in Chasewater. Our friends have gone back home, and it's all very quiet here now. So I'm just getting back into the swing of it now, starting to do a little bit of printing, and I've got lots of workshops coming up in the next 2 weeks. So here we are then with French knots. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the video. So the next stitch I'm going to do on the folk flowers is the French knots. So if we go back to the original again, not all of the little dots have got French knots in, although if you buy the kit and you want to do French knots in all of them, you could do. There may not be quite enough thread in my kit, but if you're a stitchy lady, you've probably got plenty of your own threads as well, so you could do French knots in the middle of these little flowers here if you wanted to, wherever. So I'm going to do one of each. There are French knots using the blue, which is the thread number 4 in the kit, and they're on some of these little circles that are printed in the background. And then there are French knots here as well, and this is using on here. This is the original, so this is using the pale grey, but for this one it will be the this sort of greeny browny colour. So I'll do one of each and then I'll go away and finish doing them all. So first of all, French knots. The needle I like to use for a French knot is this straw milliner needle. It's a long needle, and it's if not the same width, it's a very similar width all the way down. It doesn't really get much bigger when it gets to the eye there, so I find it much easier to put the needle back through for a French knot. So I'm going to start at this one here. So this one is using your thread at single thickness, and I'm just coming up more or less in the middle of that dot there. And then for this one, you're going round your needle twice, almost back in where you've come up, and then I slide the knot down the needle before I then push my needle through, and that gives you your little French knot there. Tie off on the back. I'll show you one more. So I'm going to knot the end again, and then we'll do this one here. So come up almost in the middle, and then I take the thread in my left hand, round my needle twice, almost back in where I've come out, and then I slide that knot down by pulling the thread. It will pull it down the needle, and then just pull it through like that and tie off on the back. And then for the French knots in the other colour, they're slightly bigger knots on here. So for those, I have doubled the thread, and then, you can't see that, can you? I've doubled the thread and then knotted the end. So I'll do one of those as well, but it's exactly the same process. So I'm going to come up almost in the middle of the circle that I want to do the French knot, round my needle twice, back in almost where I came up, slide it back down the needle. That seems to sort of hold the thread in. I think one of the problems sometimes with French knots are they kind of unravel themselves. but by sliding it down the needle, it almost kind of, it tightens it and it's less likely to come unravelled. And then you just pull that thread through and then you've got a nice chunky French knot on your print. Snip that off and then you're ready to go again. So I'm going to go away and do all these French knots and then I'll bring you back in again. So that's all the French knots finished now, and that's using this thread, this kind of beigey coloured thread, which in the kit will be thread number 5, and the blue French knots, which are done in some of the printed little circles. I haven't done them in all of them, but if you want to, if there's enough thread left over and you want to do the French knots in all of them, then obviously that's absolutely fine. And on your stitch diagram, the French knots are shown by these solid dots here. So also with the blue thread, which in your kit will be thread number 4, I've done the eye of the bird and filled the beak in with a few stitches. So I'm just going to do the one on this side just to show you how I've done that. So if you need to mark it where you're going to do the eye with one of those fabric pens, then that's absolutely fine. So I'm going to come up where I want the eye. So I'm going to do a French knot first, and I've knotted the end, and I'm using the thread at single thickness, and I'm just going to go around my needle once for this. I don't want a huge knot. Back in almost where I came out, slide that thread down, push the needle through like that, and then for the beak, all I've done is keeping inside the print, I've done like a little triangle. So I've gone to the end like that and back in again there, up to the tip of the beak like that, and then just done another stitch there like that. Now if when you've done your little triangle there's a little bit of a gap in the middle, you can always do an extra one just to fill that in if you want to. So I'm going to tie that off on the back now, and that's all the French knots finished and all the detail with all the thicker threads. So next time it will be finishing off doing all the running stitch on the print. So that will be the next video, and I promise it will be a lot quicker and sooner than this one has been. Okay, so thank you so much for your patience and for sticking with me. I hope you're enjoying seeing the folk flowers being stitched. I'm really enjoying doing this new colourway. So thank you again, and see you next time then. Bye.